Hey, Stacy, can you give us permission, ask the host to give you permission to record?
Yep, where do I do that?
I have no idea. It might
Okay,
be.
let me hit the security button. Enable. I mean, I can just send you the recording.
That's perfect. We're totally cool with that.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, here we go. All right, Jackie and Marcia, welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you both here. Thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really happy to be here. Thank you.
You guys. Okay, if you've never heard of the Plant Chics, you're going to hear about them today. And there's so many things that I want to talk to you guys about, but I mean, really, let's just get this party started by asking this important question. What is your current favorite food?
Answer,
All right.
baby.
All right. I'll go first. Literally, I've got so many, and I can't really have just one, but I'll just say what I had for breakfast this morning. It's savory oats. It's like a combination. So it's oatmeals with beans and greens and sriracha and maybe some avocado. So I'm really into savory oats this morning. And you ask me at noon or for dinner tonight, is going to change.
I totally understand.
I've been having an obsession with grapes lately. I don't even know what it is. They're in season and different ones. I've been buying grapes and eating them by the bag, just like candy. It's so good. I don't know what it is. So
I definitely have been known to eat grapes by the bag. I actually ran into my brother-in-law at the grocery store several years ago. I had 3 bags in my cart and he looked at me like I was weird. And I was like, what? 1 bag will be gone in a day.
Exactly.
So what do you know? Okay, you guys, and Jackie, I love savory oats too. I love slicing up Swiss chard and putting it in oats because it's salty. It's naturally salty because it pulls the sodium from the soil. Fun fact, it's really good. You all should try it. Okay, you guys. So Plant Chics obviously really love plants. But here's the deal. I need to know from both of you guys, like, where did where did the plants start with both of you guys? Like, where did you start to think about consuming plants more in your life? Whoever
Well, I
wants
can
to
go first. So basically, I grew up on the standard American diet, and I'm also half Hispanic. So I would say I was on the standard Mexican diet too, between my mom's, culture, my dad's culture mixed together. So I had a lot of things like with lard. They did have like fruits and vegetables. I think I ate fruit by itself, but more vegetables were just drenched in oils and lards and all kinds of stuff. But I would say my love didn't start there. And then I went from that to fad diets. And I was eliminating bananas and fruit because I thought it would make me fat. And so kind of went that whole train, and I would only eat stuff that was like low calorie, low sugar, like only berries and greens. I was like on that train of the low carb. Then fast forward to my competition days, I was competing. I didn't have any fruit. I was basically eating like meat, high protein, animal protein, like lots of veggies that were green, basically because they were low calorie, and some healthy fats. And then after years of doing that, I started getting kidney stones. When you diet down as a competitor, I didn't realize, because I thought it was healthy because I had a 6-pack and I looked amazing, but I didn't realize it was really hard on the kidneys, the high protein. And so basically each time, like, if you passed kidney stones, not fun. Not fun. So I've done it 3 times, not be able to pass it very well, but I had to see the registered dietitian at the hospital. And she gave me this low protein diet because of my kidney situation. And so when she gave it to me, it was kind of funny. It said low protein, and I read it as vegan diet. I was like, vegan? And I'd never even heard the term vegan because it was this almost 12 years ago. I've heard of vegetarian. The word plant-based didn't exist back then. And she had typed it up. She goes, my kidney patients, I suggest everyone go on a low protein vegan diet, mainly plants. And it was kind of like, what? I never heard the word low protein. It scared the crap out of me. And I thought, oh my God, no protein equals no muscle is what I was thinking. Like, it has to be animal meat. And I didn't know if I could survive off of it. She was telling me to do less amounts or none just for 30 days, just to kind of, move along my kidney situation, make it better, healthier. And she noticed because I wrote down my diet, I wasn't having a lot of fresh foods. I would pre-make everything as a competitor and put it in the microwave and cook it. And I was eating lots of microwave food. If I didn't eat it in real time after it was cooked, it was being in the fridge. I'd take it out in a plastic container and put it into the microwave. That was my norm. And so my veggies weren't very good because they were like double cooked, from cooked on the stove to the microwave. And it was like asparagus was my norm, or spinach. It was disgusting when I think back about it. But anyways, 30 days on that diet, and I would say her low protein vegan diet. No, it was like the best thing I've ever did. It actually changed my life. And she recommended, I felt better, I had more energy, because I did have reservations about doing it because I was scared that bananas were going to make me fat, all this carbohydrates. But I didn't realize there was a difference between the two carbs. Like, oh, a cookie carb, made with refined sugar is different from a banana, or, watermelon or grapes, which I love so much. So basically I was able to start educating myself. And that put me on the trajectory of studying, because I was a personal trainer at the time, right? I knew exercises, and I was doing all these bro fad diets from the gym, like the bro diets. I was doing all the competitor bodybuilding meathead diets. And then finally I was like, oh, I didn't realize fruits and vegetables could be so healing. I didn't know I was eating too much animal protein. So it was like my aha moment going through this. And it was like a really great year of discovery. And I was reading like vegan and vegetarian books, plant-based. Like I said, the term did not exist when I went 12 years ago. So it just meant you weren't eating vegan back then, meant you weren't eating animal products. I feel like now in today's day and age and culture, it's more defined. It's like if you're vegan, it's more, of the animal rights, and it's a different way of life, and it's more ethical versus today, plant-based is more nutritional. So, I went and initially went into the vegan lifestyle through, plants, and I started adding it and having such a great time. I started learning that plants did have protein. I got certified when Cornell first came out for certification, their plant-based certification. Like literally, it was not the first, I think it was the second year I got it. I was obsessed with it. And I started becoming, at that time, a vegan fitness competitor, and I competed vegan in my pro year. And I started teaching different vegan competitors how to diet down on carbohydrates. So that was my love of plants. And it just really it gave me the energy. I could diet down on it. I could, like if I was a competitor, but in normal life, I was not gaining 20, 30 pounds. I didn't have to watch what I eat. And it just became this overall lifestyle that I felt good. So here I am 12 years later, to live the tell. I'm still alive. No.
Wow. That's powerful. And it's, it is a lot of the times for people that rock bottom or hitting some sort of health issue that that their lifestyle changes in this way. Yep. So it seems like that was part of your story. Okay, now Jacque, where did the plants come into your life?
So my plant journey started growing up. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm from Wichita, Kansas originally. And always from the time I was a child, we'd always sit down for family dinners, and we had these nice healthy meals, and we always had to have veggies and some carbohydrates or some kind of like starch, along with the meat and the milk and all this stuff. So I grew up like knowing about a balanced diet. And I also grew up watching my mother gain weight. And she was morbidly obese. And that was actually my biggest fear. So when I went away to college, I didn't really necessarily like the meats. I liked my dad's chicken and steak. And I had a propensity to have high cholesterol. And I knew that those steaks and the hamburgers were not good for my cholesterol. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be vegetarian. So I decided to be vegetarian, and I was living life. I got my degree in nutrition. I practiced as a registered dietitian. But as I was learning all this, and this is back in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm a little bit older, but literally back then, the dietitian that trained me, she actually introduced me to Dean Ornish, T. Colin Campbell, Caldwell Esselstyn, and she was vegan. Again, plant-based wasn't a term, just like what Marcia said, but she introduced me to all these fathers of plant-based nutrition or vegan nutrition, right? The power of plants. And they actually said back then that if your cholesterol remains under 150, that you're going to be heart attack proof. And my cholesterol was sometimes over 200. And I would always notice, like if my cholesterol would go higher, I would reel in my diet and start like cleaning it up. I take out some of the processed foods because as a vegetarian, I was still eating eggs and dairy. I love dairy. Dairy is the last thing that I ended up giving up, being plant-based. But I noticed that my body, or that I changed at the cellular level. And this is all lifestyle medicine. And lifestyle medicine wasn't a thing. Now it's actually a board certification for physicians, physician extenders, nurses, dietitians, coaches, etc. But back then it was nothing. So I slowly would learn more and more over the years, and then I practiced as a dietitian. But while I'm doing all this, I always wanted to be healthy. But one of the things that I was doing is I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I ended up getting in medical sales. And when I got in sales, life just kind of took off. And I'm like, do I really need to be vegetarian? Do I need to work out that much? Because I was always super active. And my father, he would always my parents were divorced and remarried from a very early age. I grew up with two sets of parents. But my biological father was always super engaged whenever I was active. So being active and running track, dancing, cheering, all that stuff was a huge part of my story. And it is now too. But as I got into sales, that became less of a thing. And I was entertaining doctors, and I was eating all this delicious food and having all this amazing wine. And this went on for years. And finally, I was just so empty and so empty inside that there was something missing in my life. And then in 2012, I decided, I was talking to one of my girlfriends who had been in recovery, and she said that she was thinking about getting back into a 12-step program. I'm like, girl, let me know if you do. So on May 15th, 2012, she called me and she's like, hey girl. And she went to a recovery meeting. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? I was scared to death, but I did it. And it was then, that was my turning point, because when I started working on myself and learning what was important to me, I really went back to my roots of lifestyle medicine and what we eat, the people we surround ourselves, the exercise, all these things make such a huge difference. And this was probably 2014 that I started going to the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference and the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. This is the first time I'd heard the term plant-based. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. This is exactly what it totally resonated with me. Because just like Marcia said, vegan, you can have Oreos, you can have soda, you can have chips, those are vegan, but that's not nourishing and healing to the body. And those whole food plants, those are nourishing and healing. So that really resonated with me. So it was around a couple years into my sobriety that really made me come back to this lifestyle. And I have been plant-based, fully plant-based. I've been plant strong since 2014, I'd say. And just like Marcia said, I feel great. I have amazing energy. And this is a lifestyle. Exactly. Just ditto what Marcia said. It's a lifestyle. I feel amazing. And I want to share this message with the world, literally.
Amazing. Amazing. And this message needs to be shared far and wide. That's why we're all united today. So, okay. How did you guys meet? How in the world did Plant Chics come to life? Where did this come from?
This is a great story, Stacy. So my best friend from high school, I'm in recovery. One of the things I always wanted to do my entire adult life, I always wanted to do a fitness competition. But Stacy, I could never do it. I could never do the training because I couldn't stop drinking for long enough. I couldn't stop drinking for a week or a day even. So my girlfriend came to Miami, or to the Keys, and this was right around the time I was celebrating 4 years of sobriety. She was training for a fitness competition. And I looked at her, I'm like, girl, I have to do this. Because the only reason I never did it was because I couldn't stop drinking. I'm sober now almost 4 years. So what's my excuse? I have no excuse. I'm like, how do I do it? Could I do it plant-based? And remember, I'm a registered dietitian by training. So I need a coach who not only knows what they're doing for the physique, but I have to hire someone who knows what they're doing nutritionally as well. Mm-hmm. So I interviewed a couple coaches. One woman was like, oh yeah, well, I can train you, but can you have chicken and eggs every once in a while? I'm like, No, this is not my coach.
Mhm.
Well, my girlfriend sends me a profile on Instagram and I'm looking through it, just like smoking hot. She's like an IFBB bikini pro. She's got all the fitness certifications. And then I stop because she has that Cornell nutrition, the plant-based nutrition certification. And this is really big in the plant-based world. I'm like, all right, I need to talk to this girl. I shoot her a DM. She's got all these followers. I'm like, she probably won't ever like call me back or whatever. Girl, she gets back to me like right away. We get on the phone, we're talking, and I'm like, I love her. And who is that her? Marcia Prince. So I hired her as my coach, and she trained me online for a year, took me to the stage, actually a little bit longer than a year. And I felt like a princess. I competed the day after my 48th birthday, and it was the most magical experience. And it was incredible. And then over the years, like I had a business coach in addition to my competition coach, which was Marcia. But my husband, he knew that I was like dying inside because I was still in medical sales. And he knew this was not my jam because literally I'm selling drugs and devices to physicians where I know lifestyle can make a huge impact. I was making great money, but it was like eating me away. I was dying inside. So my husband was like, I know you want to coach, work on that. We'll make it work. So I call Marcia. I don't even call my business coach. I call Marcia and I'm like, hey, Charles has given me the green light. I get to like do my coaching business. I'm so excited. And then Stacy, guess what she said? She goes, would you want to go into business together? I'm like, oh my God, of course I would. And that's how it all started. So January 2017 is when we officially launched Plant Chics.
2018. 2018. 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So 2018. Well, let's go back to the fact that, okay, so here I am. I'm not only a lifestyle mentor, but I'm also a business mentor. And I just want to highlight what you said. You said, Marcia asked you if you wanted to go into business with her. At the end of the day, if we don't ask, the answer will never be yes, ever. So keep that in mind, all of you entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. Okay? But look, Marcia asked and their lives changed. Your life can change too if you make the ask. So, okay, take that leap of faith. There's the little lesson there. I love that. That is super powerful. All right. Has your program evolved? What do you guys teach? Tell me exactly what you do. I know that fitness is a big part of Plant Chics. So is that, I mean, that's where it started, right? I mean, like you guys, I mean, Jackie wanted to do nutrition, like who does what? What does your program look like? Give me the ins and outs.
Well, just me being a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer now 18 years, certified personal trainer. I love the physique and how to make it strong, not just the aesthetics of it, but inside and out. But obviously got plugged in 12 years ago to plant-based nutrition and fell in love with that. And then, that would begin really my health journey of the overall lifestyle. I started learning about just getting more sleep. That whole competitive world did teach me discipline, because you had to be disciplined in what you were eating. You had to be disciplined in your sleep to build muscle and burn fat. So I started learning other things along the way, encompassing the lifestyle. When I trained Jackie, of course, I was teaching her stuff like, hey, you need to get enough sleep and drink enough water because you need all this stuff, and eating clean and no processed food, taking her all the way to the stage. And so Jackie and I knew we had a lot of similarities. It was just a fun journey of training her. And by the way, it wasn't over a year, it was 11 months, because it was like June or July. I was training you until that next year where your birthday, I think it was like August or something we started, but 11-month journey. And we became fast friends. Some of my clients who I trained, you become friends with, and they teach, basically they teach you things and you learn from them, and vice versa. I felt like we learned from each other. Jackie and I, she is a former registered dietitian, and nutrition was important to her. Mm-hmm. And, she loved fitness too. Like has a yoga certification. She was in cheer, and she was a very active person. And so she was teaching me certain things, like she lives an active lifestyle. She lived in Miami. I lived in Dallas. People, I hate to say, are very lazy and they drive everywhere in Dallas. Where in Miami, they walk everywhere. So she kind of taught me the importance of getting out walking more. And again, we were just like, had this really great relationship And we had this love for health and fitness, this passion for it, and learning from each other and keeping an open mind. I wasn't like, my way is the only way. It was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that like walking every day was that beneficial. Like, I've learned from her. And so, and she learned from me, like building muscle. It was just like the synergy. And she was asking at the time, like business questions about how I had a different business model back then on how I coach people from one-on-one, because now Jacque and I have a totally different business model, but it evolved. And basically she was asking me questions. I was like, hey, I know running a business is hard. And I just said, hey, would you like to do this together? Because one person running the business, and if you're running a business and you're doing it all, you wear all the hats. So even like when you have another business partner, like, hey, Jacque and our business partners, there's so much to be done, right? We have to conquer and divide, split things, see what we're good at and where we can grow. Like, what are you really good at here? What are you good at here? And then we kind of learn what we're really good at. And it kind of surfaces too. It's like, oh, I'm good at this part of the business and you're better at this part. And so you just conquer and divide and you kind of learn and grow from there. Because I feel like too, even though we are 3 years into our Plant Chics journey in a business and it grew and evolved, we're not done yet. We were just getting started. I feel like this is just the beginning of our journey. And when we reflect back through every business mistake, and there's lots of failure, I feel like you're just going to have to fail your way forward and see what works, and always be testing the market, because the market changes via social media and people, your groups are going to change. I feel like you learn this collective whole. And when I reflect back, I mean, we laugh and joke at stuff that we did when we first started. It is so funny. So here's like a little fun example. When we first started, I've spoken many times before on stage. Jacque has spoken many times before on stage, but together we have not. And we were just got into business, got our LLC and all that. And we created this media kit, but we needed to make like we had talked together so we could sell ourselves as plant-based speakers. And so the funniest thing is I'm like on Canva and I'm putting together, and it's not very good. It's very laughable, very funny. The whole little media kit that I created myself. I told you I could go take a picture of yourself holding a microphone and I'll Photoshop you out with me and put us with a crowd. And I literally did that. And we didn't have a picture of us together, okay? Like of us talking on stage with people. So I'm literally like have my Photoshop, the background's Photoshopped off from stage. Jacque had one on a white background. And then I had a stadium of people behind us. And I put us together like we had talked on stage. And we wrote everything together, put this little kit together, and we were pitching it to all these places. Literally that first year, I think we got like 6 or 7 speeches. And our first speech that we got, like a keynote, was the biggest one that we've ever had in our career, and paid the most. It was crazy. It's like insane crazy. So, you just never know. You have to work with what you got, right? It's just like we didn't have that experience together as a speaker. We had it individually, but also too, like we didn't know how to hire people and create an amazing kit. But again, we still pitched with that kit and got those things. Now, when you look at our speaker kit, I mean, we've already spoke at so many places. We hired professional videographers and photographers to film us. That way we have that. But when we first started, we didn't have any of that. So it's almost laughable and comical. And our very first challenge we did with our ebook, I did it on Canva. Jacque and I brainstormed together for the, like the meats. Oh, it's not the meat. Let's not say that. The veggies of the book, the produce of the book. let's go there. No, but basically it was like the heart and soul of the book that we did it. And we sold it for $14. It was called WTF, Where's the Fiber Challenge. And it was such a hit. We sold an ebook for $14. And again, when we look back, we laugh at it because I'm not a graphic designer. It looks comical and hilarious. To the girl now that does our ebooks, that's amazing. And it looks so professional. So like, if you're just getting started out there, you have to work with what you got. Like that first year, I always call it the honeymoon year. Jacque and I were all on the high of let's do this and let's do that and bouncing each other. We were flying everywhere to go speak. And it was just a really amazing year. That second year is, I would always say, that's when it gets real. It was hard because the newness wore off, the fun wore off. And then it was like, okay, we got to make this, create our business model or business plan, see how it works, what we can do. We had to test the market, because her and I know through these 3 years, social media is changing. If you have an online business, things change on the regular. But what we do for Plant Chics is we teach people to eat more plants. It's not really about plant-based, right? It's not only about plant-based, right? And a lot of people think, we lead with that sometimes and most of the times, but it's more of a lifestyle. We have the Plant Chics lifestyle. And that entails 6 things. Nutrition is a big part of it because we communicate through food, like families and friends. Let's meet up for dinner and lunch. But like if you could bring healthy food to the mix and really good food, that tastes good. We're not just saying like, oh, here's some steamed broccoli, no salt on it. We're talking like delicious foods. It brings people together. I always feel like food is like that ingredient that brings people together. And then, either whether you meet at a restaurant, try something new, or you create it at home, but it's about bringing community together. And it's about food, community, fitness is a big component, right? Staying away from like risky substances like alcohol and drugs, and I would lump in like all the processed foods, and a lot of people do that stuff, and even a bunch of supplements that you don't need to take, like fat burners and stuff, detox crazy kits and stuff. I mean, you have a liver, it's going to detox for you. It's the education of that. Community is such an important aspect because you get plugged in, because sometimes you don't have that at home. Like right now, like my husband's not fully plant-based. He's more vegetarian. He likes cheese and he likes eggs, just like Jackie's former vegetarian. Every now and then he'll have sushi in your own home. Maybe I'm plant-based and someone else is not. That is okay. Because, back in that day when I was vegan, I was plugging into these groups. They're like, you're not vegan because your husband's not vegan, or how dare, like, it was almost like black or white, right? Now we've got plant-based, which is a middle ground. And I feel like it helps people embrace their journey with a little more kindness and compassion. And I don't know why, but sometimes the vegans get a bad rap for being all or nothing. I know they're trying to teach and educate. I don't really respond well to the scare tactics and the anger. I respond better with love and, just showing things in a positive way. That attracts me. If it's something I will just scary, I'll just go on, unfriend, pass by it. So, Jackie and I thought, let's just make Plant Chics. It's not about being vegan. It's about nourishing and healing each other and just living life sustainably, not just through, nutrition, but through exercise and community and just the overall compass of it. A lot of people don't know what a healthy lifestyle is. And my healthy is different from Jackie's healthy, and it's different from your healthy, Stacy. It's about finding health, right? True health. What works for you? All our lifestyles different, but if we can plug in on these different aspects of health, then we are better overall. And again, before this whole pandemic thing happened, I mean, we had an obesity epidemic, right? We were trying to get people to get healthy, and it's about helping each other see the things like, through food, through fitness, through community, through events. And that's what we've been about. But if we can add more plants to your plate and less process, I feel like we've won.
Absolutely. And it's that holistic. That's why I think a lot of people have different definitions, just like you said, of health, but also of what it means to be holistic. And that is what I try to teach people. It's not just what you're eating. It is the community you're surrounding yourself with. It's what you're allowing into your life. It's what you're allowing into your home. It's what you're buying. It's what you're consuming, like media wise, like it's so many different things. And we have to approach health and life in that holistic way so that we can reach our ultimate, self. And so, okay, so Jackie, tell me about how your guys' program, how do people get started with you guys?
There's a couple ways that people can start with us. So we do have our community, Plant Chics Tribe, on Facebook. That's open to all women. We will be launching our exclusive community, but right now that's a little bit on hold. But so women are invited to join our Plant Chics Tribe. It's literally a Facebook group, Plant Chics Tribe on Facebook, totally free. You've got all the support there. And Marciana created the Plant Chics Tribe for the exact reason that she said earlier, like our husbands are not plant-based, and we have each other to lean on to get more support in this lifestyle. But we wanted to open this up to other women across the world. And we literally have women in there throughout the world. And then our website is plantchics.com, and Plant Chics is PLANTCHICS.com. And we've got several different programs. All of our programs contain food. They've got plant-based nutrition. They all have different kinds of exercise. Some have high impact, some have low impact, yoga, Pilates, like there's a diversity of different workouts in them. And if you are if you're plant curious, if you're like, you know what? I don't think I want to be plant-based, but people keep talking about eating more plants, but I don't really understand what that means. Our 7-day starter kit is a really, really good option for you because it's an introduction to what is plant-based nutrition. And there's a ton of recipes in there, all the workouts, all the fun stuff. We answer all the top questions. Where will I get my protein? Will fruit make me fat? Like all the different programs. Where am I going to get my iron, my calcium? Everything is in there. So that's a really good program. And then our favorite, our like baby right now, because we really want to work with women. Marcia's in her 40s, I'm in my 50s, and we want to work with women. We want to help women find their healthy. And a lot of women in our age bracket, they're not working out a lot and they don't want to do the high impact moves. They don't want to do a lot of jumping. So we created a program, Let's Get Lit. And LIT stands for low impact interval training. And don't let the words low impact fool you, because this is like really, really powerful. And you get an incredible workout. You take it at your own intensity. But that's a 4-week program. And this is probably our most comprehensive program. And I seriously love it. There's 30 unique workouts that you get over the 4 weeks. We have our plant plates, which is our signature way of eating. And literally, we don't count macros. We don't count calories. We literally look at the number of plants that are on your plate, and we have a diagram of what a plate looks like. And we show you, like when you create a meal, you know exactly what to eat because you've got a diagram of our plant plate. We've got recipes and we've got all kinds of good things in there. We talk about meal prepping, intuitive eating, how to go grocery shopping. It's so all inclusive. And we also have our mindset journals, because one of the biggest hurdles, Stacy, Marcia, like everyone who's listening, one of the biggest hurdles to living a healthy life is mindset. Because a lot of people do understand that they need to exercise more. They understand that they need to unprocess their diet. But when they're stressed out, they go immediately for that alcohol. They go immediately for the chips. They go for the pizza, whatever it is. They go to the couch and like sit down and eat and drink to their heart's desire. We work on changing that mindset because it all starts in the mindset. So a big component of our Let's Get Lit program is mindset. So we have food, fitness, mindset, and of course, community.
Amazing, amazing. You know, mindset is so key. It's just so key. And I have to work on my mindset every single day. It is part of what I teach as well. Like it's the foundation. And, you know, also I want to go back to that emotional eating, because I found myself kind of going down that slope this weekend. I never reached for what I used to reach for in terms of like, you know, tortilla chips or like maybe even the Hostess cupcakes. Like I don't do that anymore. But I'll tend to, it's the comfort thing. It's like, if you're stressed, you eat. If you're happy, you eat. Like, how can we replace those things, right? And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And I also think I want to hear from at least one of you or both of you, like, what to you does intuitive eating mean? I mean, I think that there's a fine line where it comes to like that emotional eating and the intuitive eating. Like, I'm happy, I want to go eat the cupcake. Is that our intuition, or is that like a bad habit? You know what I mean? So it's like, what does intuitive eating mean? I feel as though I practice it. I have taught people about it, but I do think that people have different definitions of it, right? So what does it mean to you guys? How do you explain it to your clients?
And Stacey, I'm so glad that you're asking that question, because it does mean so many different things to so many people. And Evelyn Triboli, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, she's the registered dietitian, one of the registered dietitians that created intuitive eating. And there's tons of studies on the intuitive eating protocol that she's created. And in our Let's Get Lit program, we cover a lot of those, but like you said, Stacey, like, there's times like when you're stressed, and this is one of the things that I learned in recovery too, like when you're stressed, when you're happy, when you're like, you've got all these ranges of emotions. And like, I used to drink for every single emotion. I got a huge bonus. I got no bonus. I'm always reaching for the alcohol. And then the alcohol would eventually lead to other things, drugs, pizza, hamburgers, French fries, whatever it is. So how we deal with those emotions, that needs to start changing. And literally, we don't need to go to eating. And this is where intuitive eating that Evelyn teaches, she's way more lenient. I don't even know if lenient is the right word. She's more flexible in like going to the cupcake or the wine or whatever to treat those emotions. And we don't recommend to be quite as flexible because that can be a very slippery slope. And the reason I'm not as lenient is because I come from a recovery standpoint. And I had an eating disorder starting in college. It took many years to overcome that. But literally, even having like a little bit of sugar for someone who has an eating disorder, it can lead to a huge binge. And that can be a problem. Even like Evelyn, the way she does intuitive eating, she has worked with some people with eating disorders, but again, she oftentimes refers those out because it can be a very, very slippery slope. And we really encourage the women who do our programs, who come and work with us, to start identifying what are these emotions. And, if you're like super, super happy, instead of reaching for the alcohol or going for that high fat, high sugar, or high sodium food, what is something else you can do that better addresses that emotion? Or what if you're like super, super angry, you had a horrible day, you're like broken. And again, instead of turning to some of those old things that you would go to, what about calling a friend? One of the biggest things that you can do when you're having a really, really crummy day is call someone like this. I'll do this to a lot of my friends in recovery, and even Marcia. I'm having a crappy day. I'll call Marcia. I'm like, hey girl, what's up? Like, we'll just talk and I will get out of my head. I'll ask her about her day. I won't even say a word about what's been going on with me. And that helps immensely. Or if someone calls me, I'm having a rough day, but they call me and they're having a crazy day, I can help talk them through whatever they're going through. And it helps me. And then I'm not going to go towards that food, that substance, the TV show, the book. There's something that's not nourishing and healing to my body, soul, my mind, my spirituality. I'm not going to go to that. I'm going to actually, in turn, I'm going to start turning to something that is more nourishing and healing, that will help fill that hole. Make sense?
Yeah, it's just, I feel, and yeah, I mean, even a few days ago, and I mean, for me, I'm not addicted to alcohol, but like, I will sometimes think in my head, I'm like, man, I'm kind of having a bad day. I kind of want to have a cocktail. And it's like, oh, is that okay? I mean, it is, as long as you're not, like abusing it on a daily basis. Right. But I think we just have to, in order to build like atomic habits, right? We have to recognize our behaviors and then figure out a better thing to do, activity to do. Like for me this weekend, instead of buying the vegan sushi, which there's nothing wrong with vegan sushi, but I was already full and I was like, man, I just want to go buy sushi. Like, and I just wanted it because I wanted it. And I was really, really stressed out. I wanted it like the whole weekend, which I'm probably going to get it tomorrow or something because I still want it. But I was full. And so anyways, I walked outside instead. I made that pivot, and it's hard to get out of that. But if you could recognize, the signs or like your behaviors, I think it really helps. And I think that's like one of the hardest parts, and that has a lot to do with mindset. So
and that, I just want to also make a clarification too. I am not saying that Marcia and I are anywhere near perfect. And every once in a while, when I'm like super tired or stressed or whatever, I am gonna like fall back into old behaviors. Thankfully, I haven't fallen back into alcohol. But I'm like, this weekend I ate a vegan pizza, and I enjoyed every bite of it. I'm not gonna beat myself up about it at all. And that's part of the thing that's part of what we talk about in Plant Chics. It's a no judgment zone. We meet everyone where they are, and we try and just get people to become more aware. Exactly what you just said. Like, the first thing is awareness. So if I end up turning to vegan ice cream in stress, as soon as I can start to notice that, it brings awareness to my mind, and then I can start making those changes. And that's what we want to help women do, is bring awareness to their lifestyle. Where can they make changes? Where are they making great choices already? Let's celebrate those successes. And then let's see where we can also master one thing and then move on to the next and keep elevating our life.
100%.
Yeah, I always think like hiring a coach if you're struggling with your nutrition or where to go, because we have a lot of people that struggle, and a lot of people don't know what intuitive eating means, right? So if you're listening out there, I definitely read a book on it, not just from one perspective, from a couple perspectives, because that one book is not going to be the holy grail, the Bible of intuitive eating, because there are different forms of intuitive eating. But that's why I think hiring a coach is great for that, or being part of a support group. That's why the Plant Chics tribe, we always say eat 80 to 90% whole foods and 10 to 20% soul foods. Soul foods is going to be that vegan ice cream and pizza and stuff of that nature, right? I feel like you're going to have your vices and we're going to have these bad habits that we fall on. But as long as we don't fall into the bad habits and stay there, it's about getting ourselves out, picking ourselves up from that, or, like you said, calling people or plugging into a group that gets us out of that mindset. Because, I'm a former yo-yo dieter here, and I could definitely go back in those mindsets, right? I did it for so many years. And we get those women that are all or nothing, that are fad dieters. I mean, I'm part of that old crew too, but now I can go live this lifestyle where I'm not beating myself up. If I do eat something bad, I used to punish myself, right? With either exercise or the mental anguish of why did I eat that? But now I'm like, oh, that was delicious. I'm enjoying every bite. So it's like learning what intuitive eating is, plugging into either a coach or support group of intuitive eating, and then also working on yourself, because it takes work to get out of that mindset of old behaviors.
Absolutely. And I just want to, as we wrap up here, I want to make sure that people know that is this like community and accountability. If you are struggling with getting to your ideal life, feeling comfortable in your body, releasing judgment if you're having judgment on yourself, if you're feeling confused on how to get started, I think that making sure that you have that accountability and a mentor and community is super, super key to help you reach those goals. So if you guys are feeling any of those feelings that I just mentioned, make sure that you reach out to Marcia and Jacque and connect with them through Plant Chics, because they have a fully put together program that you can start with the 7 days, and then you can work your way into those 4 weeks, and you become part of the tribe, and every single touch point matters. So making sure that you're plugging into not only their community, but as many as you possibly can, if you really want to step into this lifestyle and change your life and take control today. You have the power. So before we wrap up, you guys, I want to ask each one of you, what does holistic living mean to you? I ask every guest this.
Holistic living to me is exactly what we've been talking about. It's not just one thing. It's the culmination of multiple things. It's getting more plants into your diet. I don't care what kind of diet you follow, but eating more plants, 30 different unique plants every week. Being active, move your body, whatever that means, like walking, running, jogging, whatever it is, but get active. I try to move my body a little bit every day. Sleeping is really important. Hydrating, connection, community, building those relationships. Find your tribe. It's so important. And don't discount like some different plant medicine, like herbs and spices. There's so many amazing things. Medications can be required every once in a while, but a lot of times we can just like amp up our lifestyle and live holistically by like mastering all of those different components.
I love it.
Yeah. And then holistic lifestyle for me is like arming yourself with knowledge, because don't ever stop learning. Always be a student of life. Know where your food comes from, know where your clothes come from, know what you're putting on your skin. It's always about knowledge. Since I've entered, I would say, the vegan lifestyle, it led in more of a plant-based lifestyle, like a holistic approach. And I started slowly, it wasn't over in one night, it's not going to happen, but I slowly started educating, and I'm still a student of life, and I never want to stop learning.
I love that. Oh, so good, you guys. Okay, well, you are just full of amazing inspiration, and I can't wait for our followers to definitely plug into your Facebook group and definitely follow you on Instagram because you guys are incredible. We will leave all of those details in the show notes. And I thank you ladies both so much for your message that you share with the world and for your time today.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for having us, Stacy.
Be well.